Yes, Mr. Terence, as we were discussing, we know the convention is coming on. There are a lot of preparation going on. Can you briefly maybe tell us exactly the kind of planification and logistics that have been set in place and how are they working?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kumba, and thank you, Gaza Media, for the great work you do. As you know, this year is going to be a 30th anniversary slash 2022 annual convention. So far, we have the convention planning committee that is headed or chaired by Nkwetambe Tazi and Professor Kemji. And the committee so far has been doing a lot of planning, monthly planning, and sometimes twice a month. The host chapter, it's well prepared. The hall has been secured. We're going to have a cultural evening on Friday, and on Saturday we're going to have the plenary and the fundraising gala night. So we have a budget already approved. That is going to be disbursed to the home chapter.
So what you are saying is the hall is already secure, because that's one of the hardest things that people always encounter, that securing the hall.
Right. We have secured the hall for both. Friday is a cultural evening and barbecue, and then Saturday is where the General Assembly meets, and then we have a gala night in the evening. So everything has been secured for the hall, and it's going to be a fantastic event. We have delegates coming from all around the world. We have the Fon of Fontem is going to be there. We have the Fon of Fonjumeta is going to be there, who has been invited by his friend and the Fon of Fontem. We have other dignitaries that are going to be there.
Then now, okay, let's talk a little bit about the projects that are coming on. I know we discussed this over the phone, the Ngundeng Road project. So what is the next step now?
Right. The Ngundeng Road, it's a flagship project for us. It's a priority access point to Lebang. And as you know, Mr. Kumba, we had budgeted 12 million to work on the Ngundeng Road during the past dry season. That means around January, February, March. The council told us that's a communal road that we need authorization from them. We sought that authorization, and it was agreed that based on the funding that they got, 100 million last 2021 to fix that road. They did the work, part of the work last year, and they were going to complete it this year. And we agreed that once they grade that road this year, then we'll come after, we would put laterite on the road, we would build culverts, we would build some of the hard areas of the road.
Let me interrupt you a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, because there is this idea that how can we maintain the road to be seasonal, so that all round season,
right,
not just maybe in the dry season. People have proposed the idea of maybe forming a think tank of workers that can be maintaining the road constantly. Is that something that you are looking into?
Yeah. In fact, I mean, as I'm a community-based worker, and the concept is all about local stakeholdership. The local community that uses the road owns the road. It's not us who are sacrificing to support them. We're only supporting them. And what we have a forum that we've brought in all our village associations, and they are going to give their own contribution. Even in that document that we signed, how we do the work, the local community was to provide the materials, provide sand, provide stones.
There's something like manual labor.
Right, manual material, the local materials.
Yeah,
they were going to do that manual labor, and then we would then buy the cement and provide and bring the equipment and do the laterite, and in partnership with the local community. So even when you maintain a road, even when you come and construct or rehabilitate a road, you still need maintenance, and maintenance is usually done through community work. So that's a partnership that if you want to sustain any road initiative, you need that.
Okay, now I know you have also talked of long-term project in terms of maybe getting equipment,
right,
that can, like a bulldozer.
Right. So first, let me finish. For the short-term project, I have now recalibrated. The plan is that immediately the dry season comes, we're gonna go and do the road. We've asked for the engineer. The engineer has provided us some estimates for the cover, the main cover around the Forsa Hill, and I think we are working on the second cover. So we're building, we're recalibrating the proposal, the estimate, and we plan that the next dry season, that's around November, December, we're going to do the road. But the longer term project, it's our priority, because we believe that these short-term projects are not really sustainable. So we plan to buy our own equipment, and this is going to be an initiative that would solicit contributions and participation from every person who has Lebang blood. We believe if we raise funding and buy a grader, buy a bulldozer, buy a compactor, buy a front head loader and a tipper, we should be taking care of our roads and not be relying on people who each time they go take these contracts and they don't execute them well. So that's really the long-term project, and we're going to get that approval through the convention. Now we're doing a lot of feasibility studies, doing a lot of more, mobilization, and we have Dr. Alemji, who is heading that committee, with Dr. Julius Famunga and Mafwa Kangbin, 3 really dedicated sons and daughters of Lebang, and they have formed an entire committee that has representation from all the village associations, and a lot is being done in extension to the solar project.
Okay, yeah. Now, I'm glad that you brought up the idea of the solar project. Now, let me ask you about the beneficiary of the solar project. How much is LECUDO going to put in, and where would it be exactly where it will benefit, say, the community?
Right. So the solar project, LECUDO is contributing $5,000 to support the initiative. This is a partnership project between our villages and the community and the LECUDO. The key thing LECUDO is doing is to ensure that we do bulk procurement, because you realize that if we can go and buy, instead of an individual village is going to order for solar panels, we go as a group with a stronger, larger purchasing power. It's going to help reduce the cost per panel. So through that partnership with the villages who are interested, we already have more than 8 villages have committed, have indicated, and we have more than 150 solar panels now, solar poles, electric poles, that villages have already decided they were gonna.
So you think that this solar panel will be in such a way that it can also provide street light?
Right. So this is how the project is structured. The components of the project. We're gonna have street lights. We're gonna have community centers, lights on community centers. That means you talk about like the church, the school, the palaces, and it's up to each village to determine that. You're gonna have electrification of homes, right? And you're gonna have charging stations, because we realize communication is key for our people. We should be able to communicate with our people, and because there's no electricity in the village, they struggle to charge their phones. So each community is working to put a charging station where everybody in the community can have access to come charge their phones at will. So those are the 4 components, right? The street lights, community centers, individual homes, and those charging stations.
Okay, yeah, I think that more will be elaborated at the convention floor. Okay, now the school year 2023 has come to an end, right? We have seen Mutual Law, nursery, primary and secondary school, Belenge.
Right.
We have seen standard nursery and primary school, Menji, and other village school in Lebang, like the Njense, the Fenger, the Wenchen.
Right.
We have witnessed their result. We have had some of the footages and some of the reporting. Those children that have graduated from class 6, past common entrance, list A, excellent. They have written the first school, they are waiting the result now. Those that have succeeded, what is their future now in the village?
Right, that's a good question, and I think it's something that makes me personally very happy because again, first congratulations to the kids who, in spite of all the challenges, were able to perform excellent. And we just also want to appreciate the head teachers and the teachers, and also Miss Arashilis, who has really been focusing and helping with our projects. But the plan for these kids who are going now to secondary school, it's to get them into Cedar Wisdom College. And the bishop has already authorized the reopening of Cedar Wisdom. Folklore is working on reopening Cedar Wisdom. There's a committee that is in place. Sueza USA is working to provide assistance. The different parts of the community, they are working to provide assistance. And I really want to...
So when you say assistance, what kind of assistance are you referring to?
Right. And that's what I wanted to get into, where to make our people understand that the folklore, it's expecting, it's not really going to be able to put money into Cedar Wisdom at this time. The community has taken the challenge to make Cedar Wisdom reopen. So we're going to raise money to fund the reopening of Cedar Wisdom. The rehabilitation of the school, offer scholarship to pay tuition for students, all the feeding and everything else. So Cedar Wisdom ex-students in the Leban community, the BLM community, they're going to raise money. They've committed to assist with this. And it was agreed that we'll start with 100 students at the beginning. That really doesn't mean, that's not a hard number. It means, we could take 200, we could take 300. It all depends on the availability of funds, how much money we're able to raise.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because through our finding at Gaza Media, we've got, even though the information is not confirmed, but sometimes observational research are also valid. Based on word by mouth sampling people, I think the 50 or the 100 number that you initially thought of is very small, based on what parents are anticipating to bring their children, because they have a lot of enthusiasm. They are very excited that they want to bring their children, if at all, so is open. And by just asking people, you can say estimated that by numbers of parents, you should be expecting about 500.
Right, Mr. Kumba,
is that a number that maybe?
We cannot. I don't think the folklore would be able to manage the number. You see, I'm a project manager, and you need to deal with feasibility. What is feasible? There is what you might want. There's what you might need. Those are two separate things, and there's what is possible. So the school has not been operating for a long time. It's a lot of renovation work that needs to be done, and we also have to start modest and build on progress. And I think the folklore has been very clear about that.
Okay.
So, but what I think I can speak to, based on what the folklore has been thinking, it's that if we have enough funds, we should be able to possibly scale up above 100. It's all about money. Okay. So if our people contribute, I think we can scale up, the security, the feeding, the teachers, but we also need time to scale that up. So I don't think they would be able to go to 500. That, you might talk about 150, 200, or a little bit more, right? So I think that we need to be realistic also.
So you're not saying that even individual, I think you have engaged the Sweden, which are the ex-students of Cedar Wisdom.
Right.
Especially those that are here in the US.
Right.
And you're having a meeting with them. Have you also engaged other community? Have you been able to speak to the LECUDO, Leban people in America, that this is something that they can also give a support? Or even why not reach out to other student association? Maybe that the GBHS Fontaine student association, some of these organizations, we have seen them in different classes going on. Right. You can also go and maybe I don't know who is ahead, but I'm just saying, since you are talking about engaging different community, is that something that you can do?
Right. And that's what we're doing. And just to take you back so that people understand what has happened, how we got to this point. There was a committee that has been worked. The bishop put in place a committee of a very small number. I think that's about 7 or 8, which is the folklore representatives, the diocese, which is the education secretary of Manfred Diocese, and the community representative, which it's what's LECUDO and LECUDO Cameroon, and some other elites, a few. We're just about 8. I've been working on this for about 5-6 months, so there's been a lot of planning. And that main committee also has subcommittee. You have a committee for outreach, you have a committee for fundraising, you have a committee for safety and security, you have a committee for teachers, mobilization of human resources. So you already have structures that are in place that are working. The fundraising committee, if you look at some forum now, you're going to be seeing communication that is going to be going out. I think it's already, has already hit some of the forum. The fundraising committee, which is led by Pa Paulache and the president of Sueza USA, Mr. Erin Jote, they are already working behind the scenes to strategize how fundraising would happen. So there's a lot of work that's already happened. LECUDO has already put together a committee also to help with fundraising. And that, we are just facilitators. I would like to state this. The folklore asked me to facilitate this in the United States. So I'm just facilitating and making sure we can bring all the different partners together for them to work and achieve the goal.
Then now, what about the hospital?
Right,
I know we have succeeded, or the LECUDO, through your leadership, have succeeded in 2 consecutive health campaigns.
Right.
You also have a 90 days or a 3-month continual management of chronic disease.
Right.
Is there any way that they could maintain? It should not be something like a yearly or a seasonal that people are sick, that we could, Mary Health could go back to a full functional hospital as it was before. I know there are crises that have disrupted a lot of stuff, but hoping that things begin to give way so that if somebody is sick, he or she is able to go back to the hospital and maybe see a doctor.
Right. So we take, what is really key to me, it's sustainability and continuity of care, right? Continuity of care, it's a big deal. Now, we are big on access, right? We want our people to be able to gain access to health care, and then we break barriers to that, whatever can prevent that access. So with that in mind, what have we done? We've provided funding to the folklore to help rehabilitate the hydroelectric power plant that should be able to supply the hospital, supply the Maria Police Center, supply Cedar Wisdom, because without electricity, Cedar Wisdom would not be able to operate as a boarding school. Mm-hmm. So we already have technicians that have been deployed and are currently working on that plant to repair it. So that's big deal. That's a big deal. As you also know, LECUDO put in place some sort of a health insurance program in VO. And that is to speak to your point that we did not think that just going in and doing a health campaign for 3-4 days, it's everything that we need. We thought that we needed to give access to healthcare across the continuum of time and care. And that's why we had that health insurance program that it gives the ability for our people not to stay home. Somebody does not need to stay home with an illness and die because they didn't have money to go to the hospital. That our program covers consultation for patients, free consultation, provides medication up to 1,000 francs, pays part of your admission fee, and any woman who is pregnant needs to have a baby, we cover the 12,000 francs. And Mr. Kumba, so that you know, that program has benefited over 1,150 patients. That is the impact of the program. We don't say a lot about these things, but a lot of data is going to be released, during the 30th anniversary. But I think the big deal for us is that we can now announce with confidence that LECUDO, through the help of private donors, again I would emphasize, private donors, and one of them, it's an anonymous couple that offered us $10,000 to support the health campaign and asked us that the $10,000, can we use part of it to find a medical doctor who will be resident in Mvo? And we can now confidently announce that we have secured 2 medical doctors who would be resident in Mvo.
Okay.
Dr. Michel has finally agreed to go back to Mvo. He is a beloved doctor that all our people want in Mvo. His salary is going to be taken care of by this couple that help us provide, trigger this process with the $10,000 donation. The second doctor, who is a junior doctor, we have Mafua Kambin, whom we reached out to. She agreed that she's going to take care of that second doctor. We really, really want to appreciate and congratulate them and thank them, me personally, on behalf of the executive that is working so hard, to thank them from the bottom of our hearts for this dedication. The cost of returning these 2 doctors is not small deal. It's a big cost. Of course, people's salaries are private. It's something we cannot divulge to the general public because it's a relationship that has to be professional. But it's a huge responsibility and cost and favor that the couple and then with Mafua Kambin, they took upon themselves, and they told me, look, CEO, we need our people to receive care. We need our people to get a doctor. A hospital without a doctor, it's not going to be able to offer much.
Okay,
so I think we are really happy. Yeah. And for your information, one of those doctors is already in consulting and started on Tuesday.
That's wonderful news to know.
Right.
Terence, I know we're always running out of time, but before we head on here to get a restaurant, maybe for lunch, it's almost 12 o'clock.
Right.
It's lunchtime.
Right.
Now, what about the contribution? Because all of these things that we're describing here need money. How is the success of the contribution of LECUDO, the annual $100 contribution? How is it going? Or is there any other message that you have? Let me give you the last 1 minute to say that.
I am glad you raised that. You see, we can only help our people. LECUDO USA can only do things if there is money. And we are just appealing to anybody who has Leban blood to do just that minimum. Pay your $100, just pay $100 for annual development dues. This is going to go a long way. It's a lot of money in terms of the needs that it could help. So if you're a Leban person, we appeal to you. If you really want to help your people at this time, Mr. Kumba, during war, when people are really in need, that's when you can really think about generosity. You can think about your responsibility to your place, right? And the minimum that we really expect from people is to pay that $100. And they can pay it through Zelle or to catch up, or they can pay it through their chapter. And they can call me personally. I can even drive and go pick money. Our 80 members are willing to drive and go pick the money, the checks. So that would be the game changer. We have been lucky that a few individuals have taken upon themselves to contribute to help with the big projects. But that's not sustainable. They too are saying they are tired. That we are the Leban people. And we have thousands of Leban people in the United States. And only 300 paid annual dues last time. But the sad thing, as people are asking me, is when other people give their money, when it goes now to benefit, it benefits everybody. Even these people who don't pay, their family members sometimes are even the ones who benefit the most. So you see, in terms of equity and fairness, really, honestly, it is a problem. I don't think how I will sit here and my person will go and benefit when I did not contribute, and I'll feel happy.
Okay, Mr. CEO, thank you. It was a pleasure having this all right with you. Let's head on here I'm a little bit hungry.
I know.
Sorry.
I know. And this time, I think Gaza Media will be giving me breakfast because at least for the work that we'll be
No,
doing.
you are the CEO. You should say, Gaza Media, come. I will eat from your pocket today.
No, I think that the sacrifices that we're making, both of us, you know, as an organization, as two organizations, I think this time as a media, you know, the media has a lot of power. So we rely on you now to give